we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Feet in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then take it. Like a disease, bring to their knees. No pain for their disease. Free just like a wind. 93 fucking degrees outside. Mother Nature just cannot seem to give us a break. It is another hot one here on the East Coast to close out the month of July. But regardless of how hot it is, and regardless of what Mother Nature wants to throw at us as we head into the final month of summer, I think it is high time that everyone strap in, tighten up your seatbelts, because in case you haven't realized, it's Saturday! You know what that means. We're live! Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only DJ Storms, and I would like to welcome each and every single one of you back here to the greatest fucking show on earth, streaming live on 4 different platforms across 6 different accounts, and we are getting set for yet another hot, sizzling edition of the Lightning Flash update. As of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy and the operator of the best damn Twitter handle. Shit. Do you smell that? Do you know what that is right there? Take a whiff of that. You know what that is? That right there is the smell of pure fucking excellence. Wait for it. Wait for it. Two-man kind. And this is the official Lightning Flash update for Saturday, July 29th, 2023. Well, they say Saturday night's all right for fighting for Collision, but Saturday afternoon's all right for streaming. We have a lot of shit to get into, a lot of news, a lot of rumors, a lot of juicy reports, including the big one right here that we're going to talk about, LA Knight and his push apparently being halted due to his attitude problems, quote unquote. Hold on a minute. Do you smell that? No, it's not pure excellence. It's something else. I smell. That's a very distinct smell right here. You know what that is? That right there, that one scent that is stinging my nostrils is the smell of bullshit. Absolute bullshit. LA Knight has no attitude problems, and we are going to discuss the real reason why LA Knight is not being pushed on WWE television. The women's
rosters across both WWE and AEW have not been getting the proper treatment that they should be getting, and fans have seemingly revolted after one off match this week on Dynamite between Britt Baker and Taya Valkyrie. And there's a lot of shit going around in the community, including Kevin Owens being legitimately injured. Orange Cassidy has seemingly taken upon the role of being a producer for AEW. Will Ospreay could be fighting Chris Jericho at All In. And Chris Hero is now a full backstage producer at AEW. We're also going to go over Brian Pillman Jr. and him potentially signing with WWE. We're going to go over Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, and Rampage. Really nothing blow away this week. The summer period really took a bit of a hit this week across all of the major wrestling shows. And we are going to discuss why. We're going to discuss all the faults within all these wrestling shows this week. And plenty more, because that's what we do here on the Lightning Flash Update. That's what we do. That's what we do when DJ Storms is live, because I'm the most prominent and the most vital non-paid content creator in the IWC, although that could be changing very, very soon. What do I mean by that? Well, you're just going to have to stay tuned and wait to find out, because I've got some big stuff going on going into the future. Speaking of big stuff, we got a lot of big streams going down next week, including next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It is the rewind for NXT Great American Bash. NXT Great American Bash is, of course, tomorrow. It is taking place down in Texas. I will be watching it, and I will be covering it next Tuesday on the channel. And then next Thursday, one of my good friends, my girl, Billy Wolf, she has been seen in the chat here and there. She is going to be coming on my channel next Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the rundown for WWE SummerSlam 2023. We're going to preview and predict everything going down in Detroit, Michigan. That is actually 1 week from today. So hopefully that show should offer something of substance, although the build has been absolutely piss poor, like every single WWE pay-per-view build has been this year. If you guys haven't already done so, please make sure that you follow me on social media at HistoryMakerDJS. Once again, at HistoryMakerDJS on both Twitter and Instagram. Both of those links are in the description if you want to go and check that out. You can also add me on Facebook for collaborations and business inquiries. Please make sure that you send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. That is, if you guys missed the rundown for NXT Great American Bash that took place last Thursday at 7:30, I was supposed to have Hibiki TMD, but he had to go and take upon some extra hours at work, which is understandable. You got to make the money, especially in this economy, because the economy absolutely fucking sucks. So I flew solo for the rundown this past Thursday. Go and check that out if you have not already done so. Also, my boy HooliGrim, I'm sure we'll see him a little bit later on. My boy HooliGrim, he came on the channel this past Tuesday for the rewind for Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor, which was a very good show. We did our best breaking down everything that took place last Friday in Trenton, New Jersey. So please go and check that out if you have not already done so. Shout out to my girl, Brittany K. She's amazing. Good friend of mine, good supporter of the channel. She does beautifully handcrafted designs on her iPad from scratch of multiple wrestlers all throughout the industry. And she also makes Twitter Abbeys and Twitter banners. If you guys want a new Twitter Abbey, new Twitter banner, or you want to buy her art, please go and check her out. Her Twitter and her Instagram links are in the description. Her Twitter is BrittanyK5150, and her Instagram is Brittany K Designs. She is amazing. Go show her some love. Go show her some support. She is a wonderful human being. If you guys haven't already done so, obviously, please make sure that you hit the like button. It's very vital that you do so, because The more likes that we get, the wider the outreach we receive here on the Lightning Flash Update. Whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, please make sure you hit the like button. And of course, share the stream out on all platforms of social media, including Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Tumblr, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever social media platforms that you may be using, because it is vital. It is ultra, ultra vital that we get as many people in here as possible, because everyone needs a little bit of DJ Storms in their life. Everyone does. Saturdays are my days, so we're going to have a good show. We're rock and rolling, getting down to the nitty-gritty. I already see plenty of people in here, including Dee Dee, Sarah Habka, The Final Hoss, Raphael. I'm telling you, you guys are fantastic. Thank you very much for joining, and we're going to have a very, very fun time here, shitting on WWE, shitting on some aspects of AEW, praising the good, shitting on the bad. We're going to have fun, we're going to laugh, and we're going to do what we do best, and that is dissect wrestling the only way that we know how, and that is DJ Storms style. Please make sure, if you haven't already done so, when you come on in, you like the stream, and you share it out on all platforms, social media, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, Snapchat, or TikTok. No matter what you use, share it out. Get as many people in here as possible. Get some famous people in here. Get some family members in here, some friends, some acquaintances, some coworkers, whatever it may be, because I'm telling you, I see Dan Lehman. He knows good vibes, and good vibes. That's all it is over here on the DJ Storms brand, on the DJ Storms show, DJ Storms streams, no matter where you're watching from, whether you're watching from Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter. It's always good vibes over here, Dan. Please make sure, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Whether you're watching on my YouTube channel or the Hardcore Sports YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. It is very, very vital that you hit the subscribe button, because it helps me out. It helps Hardcore Sports out. We are on the road to 2,200 subscribers. That is right, 2,200 subscribers when it comes to my YouTube channel. And then on the Hardcore Sports side of things, we got ourselves 757 subscribers. We're this close to 800. So if you're watching, please make sure you subscribe on Hardcore Sports and my YouTube channel. Get a nice wide outreach. And I see Mitch Kofsky wants to come on here and be smart. No, Mitch Kofsky, Orange Cassidy is fucking amazing. So you can suck my dick if you don't like that. But Mitch Kofsky, he's a good supporter of mine. Thank you very much for coming on in and stopping by to show DJ Storms some support, Mitch. When you hit the subscribe button, whether it be on Hardcore Sports channel or my channel, please make sure that you hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace, because that way you're going to know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, oh, baby, oh my God, it is the best time to be on YouTube. Why? Because it's the only time that you're going to get to see this glorious, oh, so glorious sideburn chin strap combination and this beautiful mustache right here. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. We're going to whip it out. And we're talking about this beautifully crafted, magical Ace Black comb. And we're going to let it up right here on the stream with a little and a dash of and a whole lot of because like a hot, fresh chicken patty out of the oven with cheddar jack cheese, I am just so good. Everybody wants a piece of the Storms Meister, because I am just that damn scintillating. I see we got my girl Lisa Marie. Shout out to Lisa. She's going to be in Houston actually in 2 weeks. I was down in Austin, Texas, and yes, it is fucking hot down there. It is absolutely ridiculous down there. So be prepared. Bring a lot of sunscreen. But anyway, enough of the self-brand promotion, the advertisements. Let us get straight into the festivities. Let's get straight into the meat and potatoes of this stream. Kevin Owens did not wrestle this past Monday on Raw, and that is because he is legit injured. And this report broke from the WRKD Wrestling Twitter account. The account reported that Kevin Owens is legitimately injured. He tweeted out during Raw around the 9:30 mark, and I quote, Kevin Owens has suffered a legitimate injury that is being used to advance the story. It is, however, unclear how long he will be sidelined. Now, I believe I heard somewhere that it may be a rib injury. If someone knows the truth behind the matter, please correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I heard, it may be a rib injury, and that usually takes about 6 to 8 weeks to heal up. I'm not really as concerned about this as some people are, and if I'm going to be quite honest with you, it really wasn't made into that big of a deal, so I'm not really blowing this up as something major. I'm not really blowing this up as something groundbreaking. Kevin Owens, if he's still able to walk around and appear on television, I don't think it's something that we should be concerned about, and I do not believe that Kevin Owens is going to have to end up relinquishing the tag team titles. They've been defending them pretty frequently. I mean, look, if Roman Reigns can go X amount of days without defending the championship, I think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn can do that too. So at the end of the day, I do believe Kevin Owens is going to be okay. He'll be back at some point after SummerSlam, and we're going to pick things up probably around the Payback mark. After we get through WWE Payback, we're going to pick things up again, and everything is going to be back to normal as it was. We'll see Kevin Owens competing on Monday Night Raw again consistently. Nothing really to be overly concerned about. I'm going to keep my eye on it and see if there's any other new rumors and reports that do break regarding Kevin Owens' injury. But as of right now, in my eyes, it is really nothing to get all worked up over. Moving on here to a report on AEW's side of the fence, Fightful Select, they actually reported that in addition to keeping a busy schedule in the ring as the AEW International Champion, Orange Cassidy has also picked up work as a producer / backstage agent in AEW. He currently produced the Brian Cage and Big Bill versus Matt Sydal and Trent Beretta match on AEW Rampage a few weeks back. And speaking of Brian Cage and Big Bill, Brian Cage and Big Bill recently won a tag team battle royale last night on Rampage to determine who will face the winner of the MJF and Adam Cole versus FTR tag team title match tonight on AEW Collision. So I don't know how much Orange Cassidy had in that, but regardless, after that match that we saw with Matt Sydal, Trent Beretta, Big Bill, and Brian Cage, I honestly have zero issue with Orange Cassidy being a producer. And if anything, considering Orange Cassidy has been on the run of his life right now, and he's doing the producer role, it really does go to show you how much talent Orange Cassidy really possesses. And at the end of the day, Orange Cassidy, he's got a nice slot that he could slide himself into after his in-ring career is over. Crazy to think, but he's actually older than a lot of people really know. I think he's actually pushing 40. I think he may be 38, 39, somewhere around that mark, which actually came as a bit of a surprise to me because, I mean, holy shit, he looks like he's in his mid-20s. I don't know where the fuck Orange Cassidy found the fountain of youth, but Orange Cassidy, he's looking damn good for himself at 38, 39 years old. So he's got a nice little place that he's going to be slotted into after his in-ring career is over. And if he is going to continue producing matches like we saw a few weeks ago with Big Bill and Brian Cage versus Matt Sydal and Trent Beretta, that was a damn good tag team match. I got no issue with it whatsoever. Orange Cassidy, with how much hate that he gets, people don't even realize how good of a pro wrestler he really is. And the fact that he's that good of a pro wrestler, he's picked up a few things, and he knows what he's doing in the ring. So the fact that he's picked up a producer role, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And Orange Cassidy, he's going to have a hand in helping the younger generation once his in-ring career starts winding down. This is only a positive for Orange Cassidy. I'll tell you what's not a positive, though. Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross. At the end of 2022, Nikki Cross was actually featured pretty heavily on Monday Night Raw TV. She went back to the crazy, psychotic, sanity version of Nikki Cross that she was portraying back in 2018 before she got called up in 2019, and that character seemingly just went away. That character seemingly just went nowhere. She competed in War Games, and after War Games, it seems as though her role on television has completely decreased into a minuscule role to a point where she's not even appearing on WWE television. Better Wrestling Experience was recently asked by one fan if there are any positive plans for Nikki Cross. The bona fide WWE insider tweeted back at the fan that there are no plans at this time for Nikki Cross. She is currently working dark matches and nothing else, as she worked a dark match on Main Event this past Monday against Caden Carter. I mean, a blind man can see that Nikki Cross has absolutely no plans. She's going nowhere. Why? Because this isn't the Nikki Cross that Vince McMahon wanted to push. I find it so funny, and I'm not the only one saying this. So people want to look at me like I got 18 heads. I'm not the only one that's saying this. There are so many content creators, both bigger and smaller than me, that have been saying the same things that I'm saying. I'm not standing on this hill, and I'm not dying on this hill alone. If Triple H was really in control of the WWE creative process on Mondays and Fridays, do you honestly believe that Nikki Cross would have zero plans? He brought back the crazy, psychotic, sanity version of Nikki Cross that he guarded with his life. She didn't even win the NXT Women's Championship down there, and yet she was one of the most prominent women in that division, period. Think about the matches that she had with Candice LeRae and Bianca Belair and fucking Shayna Baszler and all these fucking women. Nikki Cross was a prominent figure in that division despite never having won the NXT Women's Championship. And Triple H brought her back. She was in the Women's War Games match at Survivor Series. Matter of fact, she dove off the fucking top of the cage like a psychotic bitch. She had one of the best spots of the entire match. And yet here she is with zero plans whatsoever, doing nothing. But yet some people want to believe that Triple H is still in control of WWE creative duties. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. All you need to do is watch. All you need to do is observe what is going on whenever Monday Night Raw is on the USA Network between 8 and 11, and whenever SmackDown is live on Fox from 8 to 10. All you need to do is watch. And if you cannot sit there and depict to me what is a Triple H decision and what is a Vince McMahon decision, what is a Triple H creative move and what is a Vince McMahon creative move, then clearly something is wrong with you. Clearly something is mentally wrong with you. You are not wired correctly, and you should not be talking about pro wrestling. No plans. Do you expect anything different? I don't. Matter of fact, I'm actually shocked that Nikki Cross is still employed. I'd be shocked if Nikki Cross is still employed by the WWE going into next year's WrestleMania. Speaking of Survivor Series, Ringside News gave us an update on Survivor Series this year. Reportedly, War Games will indeed be making a return this year, despite not being advertised when Survivor Series was initially announced. The site reported, and I quote, Ringside News reached out to inquire about WWE's plan for another War Games match this year. We were told by a tenured member of creative that War Games is considered an annual match for Survivor Series, end quote. Now, for all we know, this could very well be correct. And for all we know, they could just not be advertising it as Survivor Series War Games because Vince McMahon does not want to have that WCW or that NXT vibe on Survivor Series. He just wants to call it Survivor Series. There will be a War Games match, but War Games is just not going to be in the title. That could end up happening. Maybe Vince McMahon changed his mind. I mean, holy shit. I mean, he changes his mind left and right. 1 minute he's high on a certain superstar, and then the next minute he wants to bury him. I mean, just look at what happened with Gunther. Gunther was set up for a burial. Gunther was set up to lose the Intercontinental Championship and then get sent back down to NXT, all because Vince McMahon did not like the way that he performed against R-Truth on the 4th of July edition of Monday Night Raw over a year ago. So Vince McMahon could ultimately end up changing his mind. I don't know. I honest to God don't know. Maybe the tenured member of WWE Creative is bullshitting Ringside News. Maybe they're bullshitting Ringside News. I don't fucking know. I honestly don't even know with WWE anymore. Everyone thought that it was either going to be Logan Paul or LA Knight winning Money in the Bank, and it ended up being Damian Priest, which I had absolutely no problem with, because Damian Priest is fucking amazing. But at the end of the day, WWE right now, there's such an internal power struggle. It's a war. You want to talk about war games? The real war games is going on internally with WWE. Vince and Triple H are clashing like two fucking rams, and in the end, Vince McMahon is the one getting the upper hand, and he could end up winning the whole fucking battle come the end of the year. When this Endeavor deal is over, when this Endeavor deal is finalized, signed, sealed, and delivered, written in the contract, and then stored away in Vince McMahon's desk, never to be touched again, and it will never be broken, then at the end of the day, Vince McMahon is going to take over everything. He's going to be backstage on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, and everything that Triple H did, if not already, will be truthfully and completely erased. But I honestly don't know what to believe anymore. 1 minute they're not advertising War Games, and then the next minute that they're saying that War Games is going to be an annual match at the Survivor Series every single year. Truth be told, I hope it is. Truth be told, I hope it is, because the traditional Survivor Series format, the 5-on-5 matches, and then on top of that, the Raw versus SmackDown vibe, it's such a lazy vibe, and it's just so outdated. It's such a complacent vibe. It just reeks of, I don't care. It just reeks of, yeah, we don't give a fuck. We're just going to throw these matches together, champion versus champion, Raw versus SmackDown, with no bragging rights whatsoever. There has not been one single time in the last 4 to 5 years that they have been doing the Raw versus SmackDown, brand versus brand invitational matches at Survivor Series. There has not been 1 year where they've done these matches and there's been stakes on the line. Not once has there ever been stakes on the line during these matches. Nothing to do with WrestleMania, nothing to do with the Royal Rumble, nothing to do with world title opportunities or women's title opportunities, nothing. War Games needs to be a staple because it could be the culmination of multiple feuds, and it will get certain factions on the show that we never thought would have ever gotten a chance in a major position like that. Like, I don't think anyone ever thought that the Brawling Brutes would get a main event spot on a major pay-per-view like Survivor Series if it hadn't been for War Games. War Games must be a consistent thing, and it must be an annual match at Survivor Series going forward. No questions asked. Brian Pillman Jr. Brian Pillman Jr. and his contract was not renewed by AEW. He was let go a couple of weeks ago. Bodyslam.net recently reported that, according to multiple sources, a deal is indeed in place for Brian Pillman Jr. to sign with WWE, or it is currently in the process of being finished and finalized. Sources have indicated that he will be moving to Orlando, Florida by the end of August, and he will begin his training at the WWE Performance Center. I don't have an issue with this. I actually talked about this last week, I believe, on the Lightning Flash update. Brian Pillman Jr. in WWE could probably be the thing that he needs to really break out in this industry. Brian Pillman Jr. is not a bad pro wrestler. He really isn't. He's got a lot of upside to him, but there are certain wrestlers in AEW right now, certain wrestlers who are very good, like a Commander or a Bandito or Scorpio Sky or a Kip Sabian. Brian Pillman Jr. is another one, or a Lee Moriarty or a Brian Cage. All of these guys are great. All of these guys are excellent at what they do, but the problem is there are just so many people who are ahead of them in some way, shape, or form that it's legitimately impossible for these guys to break out into a major position where they will be on television consistently and they will be in a high priority role as a champion. Who would you rather see? Would you rather see Brian Pillman Jr. or CM Punk? Brian Pillman Jr. or Malachi Black? Brian Pillman Jr. or MJF or Adam Cole, Darby Allin, people like that. There's not much room for Brian Cage or Brian Pillman. I mean, they're pretty much both the same. Brian Cage is a better wrestler than Brian Pillman, though. There's not really much room for guys like Brian Pillman in AEW when you got such a crowded roster to a point where everyone is fighting to stand out. There's so many people who are ahead of Brian Pillman Jr. that it was virtually impossible for him to break out. But going to WWE, that's a much different story because WWE is desperately, and I mean desperately, in need of something. They're desperately in need of any new talent and any new stars that they could possibly get. You take a look at the landscape of Raw and SmackDown, and there have been absolutely no new stars made over the course of the last year, minus a few. And I'm not even counting Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn or Rhea Ripley. I'm not counting those individuals because those individuals were already stars before they got to the main roster. Matter of fact, though they weren't stars created, they were stars rejuvenated. Because those individuals, they had plenty of star power coming up to Raw, coming up to SmackDown, and WWE just completely wasted them. Look at what they did to Kevin Owens. They made him virtually the man that everyone beats. Virtually the man that has a great match. He's in major storylines. He's on television every week, but is he in a prominent role? Is he in a championship role? No. Sami Zayn, he was made into a glorified fucking jobber. Rhea Ripley, holy shit. What the fuck do I need to say about Rhea Ripley? You compare her this year versus when she first got called up and how lame her booking was, how terrible she was. It honestly hurt me to see someone as good as Rhea Ripley in such a shit position. It really did. It was terrible. Brian Pillman Jr., if he goes to NXT, that would be a major get. They have a great roster down in NXT. The problem with NXT is they just don't give a shit what they do. And wait till you hear the report that I'm going to talk about coming up right after I'm done talking about Brian Pillman. Wait till you hear the reason why so many main roster talent is appearing on NXT. I got some shit to say about this. But Brian Pillman Jr. going to NXT, you take a look at the talent down in NXT and some of the talent that could be getting called up to the main roster, kind of like the Creeds and Ilya Dragunov and Braun Breaker and Roxanne Perez. And after Tiffany Stratton gets done with her NXT women's title reign, you take a look at all of those individuals getting called up to the main roster. They're going to need individuals to replace them. You're not going to replace a Braun Breaker with a Joe Gacy. You're not going to replace an Ilya Dragunov with a Damon Kemp or an Eddie Thorpe. Brian Pillman, he's got a lot more upside in general because he has experience working in that nitty-gritty environment like AEW, and he could very well bring some of that to NXT. And the crop of talent down there, he could be fighting Wes Lee, he could be fighting Carmelo Hayes, he could be fighting Gable Steveson, depending on how good he does against Baron Corbin tomorrow night at the Great American Bash. NXT could very well be Brian Pillman Jr.'s ticket to success. So we'll see what happens there. Speaking of success, the NXT ratings have been barely increasing, barely over 700,000. Not like that is impressive or anything because NXT completely fucking sucks. But apparently, according to Dave Meltzer, it seems like the WWE is focused on boosting the ratings on Tuesday nights to get them higher than AEW. And this would explain the constant flow of WWE main roster stars showing up on the brand, including stars like Dana Brooke, Mustafa Ali, Seth Rollins, Baron Corbin, and the Judgment Day. Sometimes I am just absolutely dumbfounded. Sometimes I'm just absolutely dumbfounded. I am just speechless. I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck is wrong with this company. How can one company be so fucking petty? This is the problem with today's world. I don't even think WWE realizes that the money is not in competition anymore. The money isn't in competition anymore. The money is in partnerships. I'm not saying merge both companies and become one, but if we were to have a partnership with WWE and AEW, I'm telling you, both of these companies would boost their fan base and their revenue tenfold. You cannot tell me that WWE would not achieve higher profits than they are now if they were to partner up with AEW for a show here and there, 1 or 2 shows a year. You cannot tell me that they would not achieve greater profits. There is so much money in a partnership between WWE and AEW that people don't even realize. People don't even realize the history that could be written with something like that. But now they're going right back to the same pettiness that they had over 2 years ago when NXT was going head-to-head with AEW on Wednesday night. AEW Dynamite handed NXT their asses every fucking week. NXT beat AEW in the ratings about a total of 7 or 8 times. They didn't even beat AEW 10 times in the ratings. Over a 2-year period, Dynamite every single fucking week was handing NXT their asses. But now all of a sudden, WWE thinks that AEW's in a weak point. AEW's at a weak point because, they can't break 1 million viewers anymore. They could barely break 900,000 viewers. Let me tell you something. It doesn't matter what they do. AEW's not going anywhere. And especially with this recent report that came out the other day from Fightful regarding AEW potentially getting a streaming service and creating their own streaming network because they got a trademark for the name AEW Plus. That right there could put the nail in the coffin and showcase to everyone, hey, AEW's here to stay. They're not going anywhere. I already know that they're not going anywhere. And they're here to stay because Time Warner has gifted them yet another show on a Saturday, nonetheless. And that is not doing too well in the ratings. It can barely peak 600,000 viewers, but at the end of the day, Time Warner's happy with them. Time Warner's very happy with them. And Time Warner, I think that they're smart enough. Listen, there's a lot of fucking idiots within major businesses like Time Warner. I mean, it's bad enough that they're a fucking woke liberal bullshit company. There's a lot of fucking idiots there. But I think they're at least somewhat smart enough to know that these ratings are the highest that they're going to get in an era in which cable television is virtually dying. Pretty soon we're going to see football games and basketball games and baseball games. They're all going to be on Peacock. They're all going to be on a Netflix. They're all going to be on a Disney Plus. They're all going to be on a Hulu. They're all going to be on a YouTube. The age of cable television is dying. I'd be shocked if they still make cable television by the time I'm 40. I'd be shocked if they still make cable television within the next 15 to 20 years. But NXT, they actually believe that they can send AEW once again out of business by boosting the ratings on Tuesday night. Let me tell you something. No one gives a fuck about NXT. What's going to happen when you feature all of these main roster superstars like the Judgment Day and Rollins and Corbin and Mustafa Ali? What's going to happen when you feature these individuals on NXT so often that the fans pretty much become numb to them? The Judgment Day is not going to keep the ratings above 700,000 forever. If you honestly think that they're going to break 800, 900, and they're going to end up beating Dynamite in the ratings, you got another thing coming. Dynamite is not going to be losing in the ratings to NXT. And if they are, it is going to come on a fluke week, and it's going to happen once, and it's never going to happen again. It's never going to happen again. NXT right now is the worst brand in the entire wrestling industry. People prefer to watch Impact over whatever's going on Tuesday nights. I prefer to watch fucking Ring of Honor over NXT. And Ring of Honor, there's barely any story. There's no story going on Ring of Honor. But yet, I find more enjoyment in that than I do NXT on Tuesday nights. I don't even cover NXT. So fucking petty is WWE. Meanwhile, they are so fucking deluded with their heads up their own asses, trying to beat AEW in the ratings now on Tuesdays, that they don't even realize that the quality of their own show has been suffering week in and week out. But at the end of the day, even if they did realize, and you know what, there are a couple of people backstage that do realize, they don't even give a shit. They don't give a shit, and they never have. You know why? Because the more money that flows into their pockets, the less and less that they are going to care. That's all it comes down to. They have worked their way into a position where they do not need to do anything but show up. All they need to do is show up 3 hours every single Monday on the USA Network. All they need to do is show up for 2 hours every single Friday on Fox. All they need to do is show up once a month on Peacock for pay-per-views. All they need to do is show up twice a year for Saudi Arabia. They don't care whether the shows are good or bad. All they need to do is show up, and they're going to get paid millions of dollars. They could have a fucking elephant trotted down to the ring. The elephant could take a shit right in the middle of the ring, and they'll have millions of dollars coming into their pockets the very next day. It doesn't matter. Doesn't. But this petty shit, this is just ridiculous. It is honestly ridiculous, and it's a huge turnoff. I don't even think people really understand how much of a detriment the pettiness on WWE's part really is. Do you realize that if you are featuring a main roster talent like the Judgment Day and Mustafa Ali and Baron Corbin and Rollins on Tuesday night, you do realize you're taking away from guys like a Wes Lee or a Braun Breaker or a Carmelo Hayes or Gallus or Tony D'Angelo and Tiffany Stratton and Roxanne Perez and Blair Davenport. You're taking away their time because you got to boost the ratings to beat the show on Wednesday that forced you off of Wednesday, put you on Tuesday because you are getting destroyed week in and week out. You're pretty much telling the people, yeah, we don't care about the future and we're not going to invest enough time into the future, so much so we are going to put the main roster stars on Tuesday nights to boost the ratings, and we don't give a shit about any of the young talent. It is disgusting. Moving on here, I got a report from Sean Ross Sapp, yet another individual that has no plans. Sean Ross Sapp reported that Dexter Lumis, he's not injured, he's not released. Where is he? There are no creative plans for him. None. No creative plans. But yet we need to see Maxine Dupree and Sarah Logan, a.k.a. Valhalla, fight week in and week out over a fucking varsity jacket. You can't get Dexter Lumis on television, but hey, you can find time for fucking Hit Row to get squashed. You can find time on this show for fucking Trish Stratus and her terrible fucking program with Becky Lynch. You can find time for that. The same people on the show every fucking week. There's no excitement. There's no intrigue. There's no direction. There's no direction whatsoever. The direction that they have taken themselves into is a direction right down the fucking shitter. I don't understand how anyone can look at WWE television right now and find any manner to justify it. Oh, but the analytics are so high. We are getting unprecedented sales. Take a look at the ticket sales. Take a look at the merchandise sales. Take a look at the social media traction. Take a look at all this great business that WWE is doing. Fuck business! Fuck business! I am not here to talk about business. I am not here to talk about statistics or money or stock prices. I talk about enough of that shit at my job, Monday through Friday. I don't need to talk about that shit when I'm talking about something that I actually enjoy. I am here to talk about nothing more than what is going on television. If you are not going to come at me and discuss shit with me regarding the quality of the television fucking program, see yourself out the goddamn door. If you are one of these people that is trying to use statistics and analytics and money and stocks to justify the objectively, not subjectively, objectively shit television that we're getting on Raw, on NXT, and on SmackDown, you are the exact fucking problem with the wrestling community. And your opinion is not an opinion. It is utter idiocy, and you have no right to utter a fucking peep regarding wrestling. No plans for Dexter Lumis. Where's Dexter Lumis? Where's Nikki Cross? Where's Tegan Knox? Where's Candice LeRae? Where's Johnny Gargano? Where's Johnny Gargano? Where's Odyssey Jones? He got called up and nothing. Where's Zion Quinn? Got called up, nothing. Where's Indus Sher? Completely fucking vanished. Not that I give a shit, but where's Indus Sher? Where's Cedric? Where's Shelton? Where's Rick Boogs? Drafted to SmackDown. Haven't heard a peep out of them. Moving on here. I got a report regarding AEW All In. Fightful Select reported that according to New Japan sources, the plan that has been relayed to them in July for Will Ospreay's match at AEW All In would be a match versus Chris Jericho. Don Callis would be factored into that equation somehow. Yeah, and yes, sports and wrestling connection. Another one. Where's JD McDonough? Where's JD McDonough? Where's Dolph Ziggler? All these fucking people missing. But this reported match from Fightful, Chris Jericho and Will Ospreay, I don't want to say that I hate it. I really don't want to say that I hate it. Now, I hate a lot of things. I really do. I hate a lot of things. I really don't want to say that I hate it because it would be a major match. It would get major traction. And it could very well be one of the best Chris Jericho matches that we could end up seeing. It could. But at the end of the day, what do they really have to do with one another? What exactly do they have to do with one another? What? It just seems so random. It just seems so random to give us a match with Chris Jericho and Will Ospreay. Now, does it have anything to do with the Don Callis family? Is Will Ospreay going to end up joining or revolting against the Don Callis family? I don't know. Realistically speaking, the proper thing to do would be to do Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, part number 3. But it seems as though New Japan wants that to be on their terms. New Japan wants it to be on their soil. So if you're asking me, what do you do with Chris Jericho and what do you do with Will Ospreay? Some people have pitched Jericho versus Takeshita and Will Ospreay versus Pac. Some people have said Will Ospreay and Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi. Or Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita and Chris Jericho versus Kota Ibushi. Something like that. I'm going to pitch my own matches. Now, I'm not sure what they have planned for these guys going into All In. But if you're asking me, With the Jericho Appreciation Society essentially breaking up, and Jericho on Wednesday for Dynamite 200, he's fighting Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara alongside Konosuke Takeshita. If you're asking me, I mean, based on what happened back in June when Jericho and Sammy were feuding with Sting and Darby a little bit, if you're asking me, I would personally love to see a match between Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. Chris Jericho's ego infiltrates him, and he ends up joining the Don Callis family. And this could be a huge opportunity to get Sammy Guevara over as a major babyface. Jericho being the dipshit, the cockhead heel that he is with the weasel Don Callis, and Sammy Guevara trying to snap some sense into Chris Jericho. He couldn't do it, so he's ultimately going to have to beat Jericho's ass at All In. That would be a huge match for Sammy Guevara and a great use of Chris Jericho. And Jericho putting over Sammy Guevara, that would really showcase to everyone that Chris Jericho is so high on Sammy Guevara. They got big plans for Sammy Guevara, and Sammy Guevara is going to be a major staple that's going to carry AEW going into the future. It's a major, major match for both men. So Jericho versus Sammy, that makes a lot more sense than Jericho versus Ospreay. What do you do with Ospreay? Well, let's just say that they are going to do a rematch with Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay on New Japan Pro Wrestling soil, probably at Wrestle Kingdom next year. Who knows? For me personally, if you want to kind of build towards that match, if you want to create a little bit more tension towards that match, one great use of Will Ospreay would be him defending the IWGP United States Championship against Hangman Adam Page. Because Hangman Adam Page has a lot of ties to Omega. They're members of the Elite. They were former AEW World Tag Team Champions. Hangman and Omega, they have a lot of history together. So if Will Ospreay goes into All In front of 80,000 people and Will Ospreay beats the shit out of Hangman Page, they have a great match, but ultimately Will Ospreay embarrasses Hangman Adam Page. That creates more tension for Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega going into their match potentially at Wrestle Kingdom. That's probably the best way that they could play it all out. It's probably the best thing that they could do. It would be beneficial for both Jericho, Ospreay, and the two men in Hangman and Sammy that are going to be facing those two individuals respectfully. It's the perfect storm. I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm saying. I don't hate the idea of Jericho and Ospreay, but how much sense does it really make storyline-wise? Unless it's going to involve the Don Callis family. But even then, I don't think people are going to invest too much time in it. The best way to go about it is, if we're going to do Omega and Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom next year, have Ospreay fight Hangman Adam Page, beat him, and create more tension between himself and Omega heading into the rematch. And based on what's going on television, based on what's going on Dynamite, Sammy Guevara would be a perfect opponent for Jericho at All In, and it would be a story 4 years in the making and the culmination of everything that Jericho has done for Sammy. And now he's going to transfer everything that he's done to Sammy Guevara, and Sammy is going to have a major moment in front of 80,000 people. That's the way that I would do it. Moving on here, we got a report from PW Insider. PW Insider, they reported that Chris Hero, a.k.a. Cassius Ohno, is officially on board as a full-time AEW producer. And he has reportedly gotten high remarks from those who PW Insider spoke with. And you know what? I'm very happy for Chris Hero. I'm very happy for him. And if anything, if he's willing to come out of retirement, he could very well be in a position where he could appear on Ring of Honor. Maybe we see Chris Hero versus Claudio Castagnoli for the Ring of Honor World Championship at the next pay-per-view. You guys remember, they were the kings of wrestling back in the day. They were the kings of wrestling back in the day, so you know for a fact that the story there is going to be rich for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. But as far as him being a producer backstage in AEW, this is a great thing because Cassius Ohno, if anyone, Cassius Ohno, Chris Hero, he knows the fucking business. He knows the fucking business. He is one of the best wrestlers to come out of Ring of Honor. Probably one of the most underappreciated wrestlers to ever come through WWE's door. He never received the proper respect that he deserved. So I'm actually very, very happy that he's given this opportunity by AEW. He was given this, and now he's going to take the ball and run with it. And if it does result in him coming out of retirement for a couple of matches, one against Claudio, that could only mean good things. It could really only mean good things. Moving on here, my second to last report that I got right here, it was reported on social media that the next NXT Premium Live event, will be on September 30th, Saturday, and it will be NXT No Mercy at the Mechanic Banks Arena in Bakersfield, California. Now, in the end, I don't really care where they host their premium live events. I think I have really put this out there numerous amounts of times. It doesn't matter where exactly these premium live events are hosted, no matter what city, no matter what town, no matter what state, no matter what country. It doesn't matter. The only thing that I care about is if you give me quality storylines, you give me quality matches, and at the end of the day, I'll praise it. And with NXT, when it comes to quality, the quality is very, very low. So I don't really expect too much of it. But for those of you in the Bakersfield, California area, if NXT tickles your fancy and you want to go out and watch shit pro wrestling, you can go ahead and pay money for an NXT Premium Live event on September 30th, Saturday, within the next 2 months. The big one, and I see that we have 14 people watching as we continue to get more people filing in, and I know a lot of you have been waiting for this. A lot of people have been waiting for this ever since I announced it. People have wanted to hear what I got to say regarding LA Knight and the reported backstage attitude problems that he has. Bullshit. Vince is to blame. PW Torch, they reported that LA Knight reportedly is bad at backstage politics, and I quote, and is rubbing people the wrong way. This pretty much implied that LA Knight has reportedly developed attitude problems. According to Ringside News, a tenured member of the WWE creative team, they reported that LA Knight doesn't understand the WWE locker room yet. Yet, we had better wrestling experience. He came out and he stated that there was no problem with LA Knight. His push was not being altered because of attitude problems. So what's the issue? What's the problem? I'll tell you what the problem is. I want you guys to think back. How many times have we heard of people having attitude problems? We've heard this report numerous amounts of times with numerous amounts of superstars. Yet, when they were under Triple H and when they've been under Tony Khan, they reportedly had zero backstage attitude problems. Why is that? Why is that? It's because these attitude problem reports, nothing but horseshit. It is nothing but horseshit. The main problem isn't the talent. This is what WWE does. It's never the talent. If it is the talent, it is usually the people who are higher up on the card that are being very manipulative and power hungry and egotistical. And trust me, it's across all landscapes of the industry, whether it be WWE, AEW, New Japan, Impact, or these rinky-dink independent promotions across the country. Trust me, I know. People at the top of the card have been historically known to have attitude problems. They have been historically known to be egotistical and manipulative, but yet you never hear anything from WWE or AEW side about a Charlotte Flair or a Britt Baker, or you never heard anything back in the day about a Hulk Hogan. The Hulk Hogan shit just started coming out recently. LA Knight doesn't get backstage politics. Oh no, he gets it. He gets it. It's not that he has attitude problems. Not that he has attitude problems. He's just frustrated. He's frustrated. You take a look at all the people that have reportedly had attitude problems. WWE reported that Bray Wyatt had attitude problems. Keith Lee had attitude problems. Now LA Knight has attitude problems, but yet we heard nothing about it when they were in NXT. We heard nothing about it until we started seeing how they were booked on television. You cannot look at me. You cannot look at me and tell me, yeah, there's no way that LA Knight isn't frustrated with what's happening on WWE TV. LA Knight has done everything that WWE has asked him to do, which is pretty much nothing. He's virtually done nothing on WWE TV but be himself. He has taken every loss under the sun to legitimately every other individual on this roster. He's lost to Bray Wyatt. He lost to Cody Rhodes. He lost to Xavier Woods. He lost the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. He lost the Money in the Bank ladder match. He's probably thinking to himself, okay, I have played ball with them, and I have laid down and taken all of these losses. When am I going to get my just due? He's not doing anything but being his charismatic self, and he's getting legitimately the biggest reactions on WWE TV outside of Roman Reigns. He's getting the biggest reactions out of anyone in that company. The reactions that he's getting, you would think he's the face of the company. And he's doing nothing. He hasn't put on any standout matches. He hasn't put on any match of the year candidates. He hasn't been in any memorable storylines. He hasn't been in anything that's really captivated us. He's gotten over because he is a charisma machine. He's got more charisma in his fingernail than most people in this industry have in their entire body. You don't think that he's sitting there thinking to himself, with all the reactions that I've been getting, why haven't I been pushed a little bit harder? Why exactly am I taking all of these losses? Why exactly am I in the undercard fighting Hit Row in 2 minutes and having these nothing matches when realistically I should be fighting for at least a United States championship? Everyone and their mother had it in their mind that LA Knight was going to be the guy to take the United States title off of Austin Theory. And that didn't happen. That didn't happen. Instead, they gave it to Santos Escobar. And if anything, it would not shock me. It would not shock me, since Escobar is getting the United States title opportunity. It would not shock me if Escobar ends up beating Austin Theory. Now, granted, Santos Escobar is great, but the only reason why WWE would have Santos Escobar beat Austin Theory, it's not because they give a shit about Santos Escobar. Escobar is merely over because he's in the LWO with Rey Mysterio. If Rey Mysterio was not involved, Escobar and the entirety of Legado del Fantasma would be fucking dead. The only reason that I would honestly see WWE giving it to Escobar would be as a fuck you to the fans because, you wanted LA Knight? No, Escobar is going to be the one to beat Theory. Meanwhile, we all know that after the reign that Theory's had, Theory should be the one to put over LA Knight, and Theory should drop the United States Championship to LA Knight. LA Knight would rejuvenate that fucking championship, and he would bring that title to the same level that Gunther brought the Intercontinental title to. But WWE, you know how they operate. These fans, they want LA Knight. No. I'm going to give it to Escobar as a fuck you to LA Knight. And that's going to be such good shit. It would not shock me whatsoever. Whenever you hear these reports about attitude problems, it's bullshit. 99% of the time, when you hear about attitude problems, it is absolute bullshit. All this is the fact that LA Knight is not happy with how he's being booked on television. And he has every right to feel that way. He has every right to feel that way. But in the end, this is all revolving around Vince. LA Knight doesn't have any attitude problems. This is just a fucking mask. This is just a complete fucking farce because WWE will never admit it, but Vince doesn't want to push him. WWE will never admit this. The attitude problems for LA Knight, it's all fabricated. LA Knight is not being pushed because he's not playing ball. LA Knight is not being pushed because Vince McMahon is not in favor of him. If LA Knight was still under the watch of Vince McMahon, let's say Vince McMahon never retired. Let's say Vince McMahon never retired back in July last year. LA Knight even admitted that he was on his way out. He could feel that he was going to get released with this Max Dupree shit. If Vince was still in charge, LA Knight wouldn't have even made it past Clash at the Castle as a member of that company. If LA Knight was still employed under Vince McMahon's watch and Vince McMahon never retired and gave the reins to Triple H, I am telling you right now, LA Knight would have been fired. LA Knight would not have had the feud with Bray Wyatt. LA Knight would not be this over. LA Knight would not have made it into this position where he's going to be on SummerSlam fighting in this SummerSlam Invitational Battle Royale or whatever the fuck they're calling it, presented by Slim Jim. LA Knight would not be in WWE right now. And if he would be, if he managed to escape being fired, he would still be Max Dupree in the Maximum Male Models. That's it. Anyone that believes that LA Knight has attitude problems, you need to get your head in the game. You need to take your mouth off of Vince McMahon's dick. And you need to acknowledge the fact that Vince McMahon is to blame for everything. Vince McMahon is to blame. None of this is on LA Knight. Nothing on WWE television. None of it's on Rollins. None of it's on the Judgment Day. None of it's on Roman. None of this. None of this booking, of this shit booking, not just with LA Knight, but with the entirety of WWE programming. None of it falls on the talent. None of it falls on Triple H. It is all on Vince because Vince McMahon is trying to get back into the swing of things of booking WWE his way. And he's trying to erase and destroy and kill everything that Triple H did in the 5-month period in which he was actually in charge. And then as soon as Vince McMahon came back in the beginning of January, he was on that shit. He hopped on that shit like a fucking fruit fly on shit. He hopped on that. He hopped on it. Fucking pounced on it like a tiger going after a zebra. Pounced on that shit. Backstage problems, backstage attitude issues. And the crazy part about it is there are people who are dumb enough to actually believe this shit. That's the crazy part about it. People are stupid enough to actually believe it. LA Knight has zero attitude problems. And if you think he does, you are a fucking moron. LA Knight, if anything, I can just tell he's frustrated. And he has every right to be. Because he has done everything that WWE has asked him to do, which is pretty much nothing. He's taken a loss to everyone under the sun, and yet his reactions are getting bigger and bigger. He's probably thinking to himself, why the fuck am I sitting here losing match after match when I get these reactions every single week? Why am I not in a more prominent position? It's because Vince McMahon does not want to push LA Knight because LA Knight was never a Vince McMahon guy. Vince saw Max Dupree in LA Knight's future and potentially getting fired. Now that LA Knight is alive and well and LA Knight's doing his thing on WWE television, Vince, who cares? Who cares? He doesn't give a shit. None whatsoever. Shameful. It is honestly shameful. And yes, Jeremy Lewis. Yes, Jeremy Lewis. The backstage bullshit in the AEW women's division is quite frustrating too. I know for a fact that shit's going on backstage. I know for a fact. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Those are your news, rumors, and reports for now. We're going to get into the weekly show reviews. Good audience today for sure. I appreciate every single one of you stopping on by, and I hope you guys are having a good time. We are going to continue on with the Lightning Flash update. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw, which was absolutely fucking horrendous in every sense of the word. And I am seriously questioning why I even do this. Seriously. I'm seriously questioning why I spend my Monday nights covering this shit. I'm telling you, if it wasn't for the fact that you guys laugh your asses off at me just ranting and raving about this shit, I would not even bother covering it. I really wouldn't. I would not even bother giving this show, this or SmackDown, any second of my time. I really wouldn't. I do this shit for you guys. Monday Night Raw. I legitimately was struggling to keep myself awake. I came home from Dallas, Texas. Not Dallas, Austin, Texas. I came home from Austin, Texas on Sunday evening, and I was exhausted. I had to get up for work the very next day. I had a scenario where I did not take off. Did not take off from work on Monday, and I had to go in after I was incredibly jet lagged, so I was already tired. I'm surprised I made it through this show without falling asleep. Judgment Day kicked off the show. Rhea said the Judgment Day run WWE, and then they hyped up themselves. They replayed Dominic Mysterio's big win over Wes Lee. Should have never happened. It should have never happened. I don't even think people realize how fucking terrible it really was to have Dominic Mysterio beat Wes Lee. Like, do people not think? Wes Lee took the North American Championship after everything that he's been through, after wrongfully having his tag team partner fired. Wes Lee took the North American Championship, and he made himself into the best champion that title has ever had. The best champion that title has ever had, and they had him lose to a man who's not ready in a terrible match just because they think that Dominic Mysterio as the North American Champion is going to drive up the ratings. You realize how fucking stupid that is? Meanwhile, you could have transferred that credibility that Wes Lee developed for himself to a new star, because the NXT North American Championship is meant for new stars, yet, they took a Monday Night Raw superstar, sent them down to NXT for ratings purposes to beat Wes Lee, all for what? Terrible. So, they hyped up Dominic's big win, and Dominic was cutting a promo, and they rolled a video package about himself, and all of a sudden Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn came out, and the crowd was hyped for them. Owens said, I'm almost sure we did this last week, didn't we? Yeah, Owens, you did do it last week. Now we're doing it again because Vince McMahon can't be bothered to write a new show. Owens goes, you know what really upsets me? When people don't learn. Oh my God, you're telling me, Kevin. You're telling me how I've been educating these fucking morons of the community for 6+ years now. I have been educating these people for 6+ years now, and it seems like they don't fucking learn dick. So trust me, Kevin, I feel ya. So Kevin Owens went on and on about how Dominic should do the industry a favor and shut his mouth forever. Sammy then pitched a match between himself and Dominic Mysterio in Tampa. Dom said, come get some. Sammy said, remember when you gave us a hard time for not putting our titles on the line last week? How about you put your title on the line this week against me? And then Rhea accepted on behalf of Dominic Mysterio. Desperation, if I've ever seen it, for NXT ratings, which will never pay off. It doesn't matter how many times Dominic Mysterio defends the NXT North American Championship on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. It doesn't matter who he fights. At the end of the day, nothing, and I mean nothing, will drive up the ratings for NXT. You know how NXT's ratings go up? NXT's ratings go up when we start going back to basics and we start going back to how they were during the black and gold era, which will never happen. Not with Vince in charge. Desperation for ratings, nothing but recycled bullshit. I don't care. Becky Lynch and Zoe Stark, they had a decent little match here on Monday Night Raw. Wasn't bad whatsoever. Wasn't bad at all. It's just tough for me to care knowing what this is going to result in. This is resulting in Becky versus Trish at SummerSlam, which Becky Lynch did get the win. And on top of that, what's going to happen after SummerSlam? Trish Stratus, I don't see Trish Stratus sticking around after SummerSlam. I don't. I can't see her sticking around after SummerSlam. So what's going to happen after Becky Lynch inevitably beats Trish Stratus at SummerSlam? Becky inevitably ends this feud sooner rather than later. I mean, thank God it's fucking ending at SummerSlam. At least I hope. For all we know, this shit could continue into fucking Payback. But at the end of the day, Becky, more likely than not, will end and should end this horrendous feud between herself and Trish at SummerSlam. And after Trish inevitably leaves after SummerSlam, what's going to happen to Zoe Stark? Zoe Stark is merely getting TV time because she is being paired with Trish Stratus in this feud with Becky Lynch. What is going to happen with Zoe Stark after Trish leaves? She's going to be in the same exact position as Nikki Cross. She's going to be nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found whatsoever. So, this wasn't bad, like I said. I just can't bring myself to give a single fuck. Becky kicked out of a spin kick by Zoe Stark. Becky blocked the Z360 and hit a Bexploder. We had a roll through into an armbar by Becky after a superplex. Stark with a deadlift powerbomb. Trish tried to throw her mask in the ring to distract the ref. Roll up on Becky for a 2. Becky then with the manhandle slam. And that was it. Becky Lynch gets her rematch with Trish Stratus. And based on the recent interview that Trish Stratus had saying that, hey, I want to compete in some form of a cage match, I would not be surprised if we do get a steel cage match with Becky and Trish at SummerSlam. Cody Rhodes, and apparently the retards came out of their caves this week because I tweeted out that Cody Rhodes was the reason why the Elite are staying with AEW, because there were reports that the Elite were thinking about going to WWE, and there were reports of WWE thinking about securing the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, not because they want to, not because they want to book them like major stars, but simply because of the fact that they want to destroy AEW. They wanted to get Omega and the Bucks away from All Elite Wrestling because if they go to WWE, a large portion of their fan base will go to WWE as well. And I tweeted out that the reason why Omega, Page, and the Bucks are staying with AEW was because Cody lost to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. If Omega and Page and the Bucks were to go to AEW, I am telling you right now, the only reason why they would go to AEW, or excuse me, to WWE rather, the only reason why they would go to WWE, it's not because of the money. They don't need fucking money. AEW will pay them plenty. The reason why they would go to WWE was because they want to build a legacy. Money isn't everything, and people need to realize that. Money is not the end-all be-all. If you are great at what you do, the money is always going to be there. The money is always going to be flowing into your pockets if you are damn good at your job, in which this case, Omega, Page, and the Bucks are great at their job. They're great at their job, and no matter where they go, they will succeed. They wouldn't go to WWE because of the money. They would go to WWE because they want to be the top stars. Omega he's a WrestleMania main eventer, no matter how you look at it. Adam Page, WrestleMania main eventer, no matter how you look at it. And if you think otherwise, see yourself the fuck out. The Young Bucks are undoubtedly the best tag team in the world. They're right up there with FTR. They may very well be the best tag team of all time. With what they've done, with professional wrestling and how much they have contributed to this sport, to make this sport as great as it was, and to give the fans some of the best matches and moments that we've seen of the modern era, it is clear as day that money is not the end-all be-all. It is all about creative. It is all about being booked right. And with how Cody is being booked right now, and this nonsensical, horrendous feud with Brock Lesnar, in which Cody Rhodes has gotten his ass kicked every single week by Brock Lesnar, every time they're in the same building, this nothing match with Dominic Mysterio, and then losing to Roman at WrestleMania, when he should have won, when he was ready, and Roman Reigns hasn't even defended the fucking title since WrestleMania. With everything that has happened, and everything that has gone on, I'm telling you, Cody Rhodes, he's lost all his momentum. He doesn't feel the same. Cody Rhodes is the reason why WWE did not secure Omega, Page, and the Bucks. And if you think otherwise, you are a complete moron. Clearly, you don't understand pro wrestling. And if you think money's the end-all be-all, then you know what? You are the problem with this world. If you are good at your job, the money will always be there. The Bucks, Page, and Omega, they don't care about money. They care about their legacy. They care about being main event talents. And if Cody Rhodes was not going to be put over at WrestleMania 39, they weren't going. A lot of people in AEW were watching that match because that match was going to be the deciding factor. That match, whether you want to admit it or not, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns decided the fate of AEW. WWE had the opportunity to kill AEW with that match by giving Cody the title, and they didn't do it. So Cody Rhodes comes out to address Tampa with his theme song, Adrenaline in my soul, every thought out of control. Oh! Comes out, he says, so, Tampa, what do you want to talk about? I would like to talk about Vince McMahon ruining your momentum. I would like to talk about how shitty you have been since WrestleMania. I would like to talk about the fact that you should have won at WrestleMania. I would like to talk about the fact that Vince McMahon needs to be put in a jail cell immediately so that way we can get you back to where you were. He said Lesnar is Mr. SummerSlam. Lesnar is Mr. SummerSlam. And he talked about his mother not being impressed. This lady would watch Terry Funk throw fireballs at my dad's face. Brock, you made a mistake. It's not by attacking me in front of my mother. You left me breathing. I am not poking the bear. I am slapping the bear across the face and saying, come get it. At SummerSlam, I'm going to embarrass Lesnar, and I will end this. I hope so. I fucking hope so, Cody. I've been waiting for this to end since the moment it began. Sami Zayn versus Dominic Mysterio. NXT North American Championship. Listen, I don't want to say this was a bad match, but holy fuck. I can't even describe to you. I can't even describe to you how horrible Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have been booked since winning the titles. They have not felt the same whatsoever since winning the titles. Matter of fact, I'm not even bullshitting you. I've actually been keeping track. They've lost more matches as champions since they won the titles. They've lost more matches in the last 4 months than I can honestly count. Not even bullshitting you. How is it that you have the undisputed tag team champions on Monday Night Raw and you have them losing every other week? They lost to Jimmy Uso. They lost to Jey Uso. They lost to the Judgment Day. I mean, holy fuck. How many times are you going to have your tag team champions go out there and lose and lose? And it's almost like Vince McMahon is trying to put them back in the same position that they were in prior to his retirement. Yeah, they may be the tag team champions, but they're fucking jokes. They're losers. They're bums. And to Dominic Mysterio of all people, a man who is the North American champion, a title that he should not have, a title that should have never been taken off of Wesley unless you were going to give it to Mustafa Ali tomorrow. And what's going to happen tomorrow with Dominic when Dominic fights Wesley and Mustafa Ali? You think Wesley and Mustafa Ali, you think they're going to win? Of course not, because you got to drive up those ratings. Because in their sick, deluded, twisted mind, they actually think that people want to see Dominic Mysterio as the North American champion on Tuesday nights. Listen, this wasn't a bad match. But it just leaves such a sour taste in my mouth seeing Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens booked like bums. They're bums. So Mysterio with a Hurricane Rana counter. Sami Zayn got the Blue Thunder Bomb for a 2. Dominic with a 619, but Zayn kicked out. Dom with the 3 Amigos. Frog Splash, but the knees were up. We had an Exploder Suplex into the corner. Now, earlier on in the match, the Judgment Day and Kevin Owens were ejected from ringside, and Rhea and Priest tossed Kevin Owens out to the stage, and Sami Zayn, like a fucking dumbass, looks up the stage. What are you doing? What are you doing? Get your hand off of him. Get your hand off of my Kevin. Dominic Mysterio rose up. Sami Zayn retains the North American title, making one half of the tag team champions look like an idiot. At this point, I just wanted to turn off the show. From there, we had what was easily the best thing on this show. Tommaso Ciampa versus Bronson Reed. It was a damn good match. Best thing on the show. Ciampa went right on the attack, and apparently Bronson Reed is now being called Big Bronson Reed. Pretty soon they're going to be announcing him to the ring as Big Bronson Reed, just like they do Seth freaking Rollins. I cringe every single time they say Seth freaking Rollins. Say Seth Rollins, you fucking idiot. Swear to God. So Ciampa with a sleeper hold. Reed fell back. We had a big body block and an elbow drop. Reed came off the apron, and Ciampa caught him with a big V-trigger. Coming back from commercial, Ciampa with a scorpion death drop. Ciampa with various clotheslines and a discus elbow and a famouser for a 2. Reed then with a big senton. Ciampa popped up, traded blows with Reed, a V-trigger, and Ciampa got Reed up in a beautiful air raid crash. Bronson kicked out. Nakamura then came out to the ramp to watch, and Ciampa earlier told him to stay out of his business. Ciampa, again, just like Sami Zayn, like a dumbass. It's like unless your name is Roman Reigns, you're going to be booked like a dumbass. Ciampa takes his eye off of Bronson Reed when he's in control, and Nakamura's taunting Tommaso Ciampa. He doesn't even lay a finger on him. Bronson Reed comes up, blasts Ciampa with a shoulder tackle off the apron. delivers the tsunami, and Reed ends up getting the win. Pretty much it. Best thing on the show, I'm just trying to figure out why, and I mean why, we haven't gotten the DIY reunion. Are we looking down the barrel of Nakamura and Bronson Reed versus DIY? I don't know. To be quite honest with you, I would not be shocked if the DIY reunion is scrapped. I would not be shocked if the DIY reunion is scrapped because they don't want to have DIY, Ciampa and Gargano, two of Triple H's top two prospects. I would not be shocked if they don't want to reunite them and they nix that plan because that was a Triple H idea and they don't want to give Triple H's boys the spotlight. Rhea Ripley, she was supposed to have a match with Liv Morgan, and Rhea attacked Liv Morgan, just crushed her shoulder in a steel chair multiple times, and that is all leading to a match with Raquel Rodriguez at SummerSlam, which I assume is going to be confirmed next Monday on Raw. Ricochet, he came out to confront Logan Paul. He was looking around. Where you at, Logan? He said, Logan Paul doesn't belong here, and the people know it. It's not because you're not good. It's not because you're not good, but I am Ricochet, and I am special every damn week. You are just an arrogant little prick. I'm shocked that they actually let that slide on WWE TV. You don't respect anything that we do. I am here to challenge you for a match at SummerSlam. A fight you want, a fight that you will get. Paul then came up from behind and blasted Ricochet, accepted Ricochet's challenge. He was then on his phone. I'm not sure if he was on Instagram Live or recording a TikTok, but he was on his phone. And he called some dude at ringside a stupid little virgin, which I laughed at. And then Ricochet super kicked the shit out of Logan Paul and hit a running shooting star press. And obviously we are going to get Ricochet and Logan Paul at SummerSlam, which could end up stealing the entire damn show. That's actually the match that I'm looking forward to the most. Not even bullshitting you. Damian Priest versus Apollo Crews. Another one. Apollo Crews on television for 2 minutes, gets squashed by Damian Priest, and then that's it. I'm shocked that Crews hasn't been released yet. Damian Priest beats Crews with the South of Heaven. Gunther and Imperium, they had a face-to-face with Drew McIntyre. Drew came out and said, let's do this right now. Gunther said, you want me to put the Intercontinental Championship on the line here tonight? I raised this title to a level never seen before, and you want me to defend it against all of these degenerates? But you know what? You are just like them. You get nothing done in life. Look at what happened at Clash at the Castle. But if you want to ride on my coattails, I will humiliate you at SummerSlam. Drew McIntyre then said, me and Sheamus went at it at WrestleMania, and you picked the bones, as you should. But at SummerSlam, it's one-on-one. You'll find out why I'm called the Scottish Warrior, the Chosen One, and at SummerSlam, your new Intercontinental Champion. Kaiser then got in Drew McIntyre's face, and Drew said that Kaiser should be the leader of Imperium. Drew then challenged Kaiser to a match, and we get a match with Drew McIntyre and Ludwig Kaiser, which was not terrible, but again, I don't give a shit because I know what this is resulting in. This is resulting in yet another loss for a Ludwig Kaiser, and that's exactly what happened. Ludwig Kaiser loses, and Drew McIntyre gains more momentum heading into SummerSlam. The best part about this entire match was Corey Graves. And listen, Corey Graves has been a shit commentator for a few years now, but Corey Graves had me legitimately laughing my ass off. Corey Graves was out here doing commentary as Ludwig Kaiser. You had Corey Graves going, I'm going to do commentary as Ludwig Kaiser for the rest of this match. I have a side headlock takeover that will make the ring general jealous. I was laughing for a solid 3 to 5 minutes. Best thing that Corey Graves has ever done. Drew McIntyre won with a Claymore, and then afterwards, Drew McIntyre was swarmed by Imperium before Riddle came out to help McIntyre. Gunther powerbombed Riddle, and then Drew fought back and powerbombed Gunther through the table, and the crowd popped big. And then in the main event, it wasn't even a main event, it was a main segment, the contract signing. Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, they had their contract signing. Rollins singing, the crowd singing Rollins' theme song. Oh, oh. Same shit every week. I'm not even bullshitting you. Some of it does not even sound natural. Some of it does sound piped in. So Rollins came out. Rollins said that you have zero chance of walking out of SummerSlam as world champion, but even if you win, your world title reign will be shorter than your universal title reign because Priest will cash in on you. At SummerSlam, it will not be the coronation of the Judgment Day. It will be the end of the Judgment Day. Finn Balor then signed. He said, you think you got it all figured out, huh? You're so smart. You think you run this place? You don't. The Judgment Day does now. Priest and Dominic then started coming through the crowd. Finn said, I've been losing it for 7 years now. It's been driving me insane. It's like an itch that you just can't scratch. It's like a 7-year itch. But at SummerSlam, I'm going to make you my 7-year bitch. Judgment Day then swarmed. Sami Zayn came out with a chair. He tried to take out the Judgment Day before Finn swarmed him. Sami was out. Judgment Day then beat down Rollins, delivered a razor's edge on Rollins. Frog splash by Dom, coup de grace by Balor, and the Judgment Day stood tall. You know, there's a part of me that actually wants to see Finn Balor win the World Heavyweight Championship, but I don't think that that is the right call. I honestly do not believe that that is the right call. If anything, the best type of call would be to have Rollins retain and hold that title going into next year's WrestleMania and have Priest cash in on Rollins next year at WrestleMania, and Seth Rollins will have a long, extended world title reign, and Damian Priest will end up being the guy that beats Seth Rollins at WrestleMania in the same manner that Seth Rollins beat Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 31. That was Raw. It sucked. Did not care. It was terrible. Terrible. I'll tell you what's not terrible, though. The fact that all you guys sticking with me, solid 12 people right now, 13 people actually. The brand is fucking booming. The brand is booming, and it will stay booming no matter what, because I am just that damn fucking good. So thank you all for tuning in. You guys have been awesome, and we're not done yet. We are going to go over AEW Dynamite, which took a little bit of a different approach this week. Some people were saying that it was actually on the downside, that it was actually a dud. I wouldn't necessarily call it a dud. If anything, it took a little bit more of a different approach, I would say. It took a different approach, and it focused a little bit more on the storylines. It was a little bit more storyline driven. So I actually like that. I didn't mind it. Now, was it on the lackluster side? I mean, you can make a case for it being on the lackluster side. We did get some decent matches. We did get some storyline progression, but a few good matches here and there, a lot of storyline progression, but I would probably say, yeah, it was probably on the lackluster side. Not to say it was a terrible show. I know what a terrible show is. I mean, if I was to compare this to what we got on Monday Night Raw, I will absolutely take this over Raw any day of the week. So, Dynamite kicked off the show with Orange Cassidy versus AR Fox. This was for the AEW International Championship, and this was a very, very, very good match here. Really, really, really good stuff here from AR Fox and Orange Cassidy, and this actually played into what happened a little bit later on in the show. So Standard technical matchup to kick off the show. AR Fox then came in with a moonsault off the apron. Cassidy then with a Stun Dog Millionaire, a stunner by Fox, spitting Brainbuster for a 2. Coming back from commercial, we had double boots by Fox and Cassidy. Cassidy then came back with a buckle smash. Fox then with a senton and a tope con hero. Back in the ring, Swanton Bomb connects. Swanton Bomb beautifully connects, but Cassidy kicked out. Cassidy with a tope suicida, satellite DDT, and a beach break, but Fox kicked out. Fox with a springboard Spanish fly for a 2, and a rolling thunder on the apron. Fox then with a pendulum DDT for a 2. He went for the 450, but he missed. We had a crucifix by Cassidy for a 2. Mouse trap by Cassidy. And Cassidy once again escapes by the skin of his teeth with the International Championship. Let me tell you something. Orange Cassidy is showcasing to everyone who just constantly doubted him that he is the real fucking deal. If this title reign did not show you that Orange Cassidy is a main event level talent, then clearly you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And once Orange Cassidy loses the International Championship, he should absolutely be a challenger for MJF and the world title. I don't see him winning the world title, but he would make a great challenger for MJF. That match would be fucking great. It would be awesome. So afterwards, Cassidy gave Fox his glasses. Fox then snapped them and decked Orange Cassidy with a right hand. Darby then came out, and this was great. Darby then got in Fox's face, and Darby, in a promo package, actually said that Fox welcomed him into his home, and he gave him a place to live when he was training with AR Fox. Fox kind of just brushed Darby off, and then in the ring, Jon Moxley came out, decked Orange Cassidy, and delivered a Death Rider to him before leaving the ring, obviously playing up to what was going to happen later on in the show when Claudio and Moxley were going to fight the Best Friends and the Lucha Bros. Chris Jericho was in the back. He was pitched by Don Callis to have a match with Takeshita next week against Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara, and Chris Jericho actually accepted. So it looks like we could be building towards the complete devastation. I mean, for a couple weeks now, all we've been seeing is the Jericho Appreciation Society walk out on Jericho, but we haven't seen any legit physical conflict yet. This could very well result in that. And if anything, resulting in a match between Sammy and Jericho at All In, that would be a major match. Tony Schiavone, he interviewed Jack Perry. And Jack Perry came out wearing FTW colors. And he says that I had intentions of winning a singles championship this week. He was also wearing a shirt that says, I beat Hook. I thought that was funny. So the fans were booing him. After one loss, Hook realizes that he can't hang with the big boys. He went on a train to nowhere. I was going to win a title this year, but I damn sure wasn't talking about this one. The fans were chanting asshole at him. He goes, as soon as I put my hands on this title, it became the real deal. And Taz, I would have beaten your ass back in the day as well. Obviously talking about AEW being kind of better in a sense, kind of saying that ECW was a rinky-dink, second-class, third-class company, and AEW guys would absolutely destroy, and I mean destroy, ECW guys back in the day. So, after that, we had Jerry Lynn. Jerry Lynn actually came out. Jerry Lynn came out, and he said, in ECW, we paved the way, and without ECW, there would be no Jungle Boy. There would be no Jungle Boy. Oh, by the way, I just got a notification right here. even though we're talking about AEW, apparently a plan to reunite the Way on the main roster. This was a plan with Gargano, Loomis, Indy Hartwell, and Candice LeRae. Apparently, Sean Ross Sapp indicated that Vince McMahon has now scrapped plans for the group. There you go. He scrapped plans for the group. He scrapped plans to get the Way back together. Meanwhile, that probably could have been the best thing for all four of those individuals. It's unfucking believable. But go on. Continue to tell me that Vince McMahon does not have any say in WWE creative. So Jerry Lynn came out. He said, keep running your mouth and you'll get your ass kicked. Jerry Lynn stepped up and Perry said, hang on, I am not dressed to compete. How about next week you step into the ring with me and we'll see who gets their ass kicked. So this is not a match. This is not a match whatsoever. This is merely face-to-face. And I actually don't mind Jack Perry being a dickwad and, trashing the ECW guys. I think that's actually going to get him more heat. He's slowly but surely coming into his heel gimmick. I think it could actually work out pretty well in the long run. So I don't mind this whatsoever. Gravity versus Pac. This was pretty much nothing. This was pretty much nothing. A nothing match. It wasn't terrible, but it was a nothing match. Pac wins relatively easily. And obviously, this is pretty much Pac gaining more momentum because him and the Death Triangle, they got a lot of shit going on with the Blackpool Combat Club. Although, it seems as though Orange Cassidy is mixing it up with Jon Moxley. We could see Moxley and Cassidy for the International Championship. Now, that's going to be something. So from there, we go into a promo with MJF and Adam Cole. Cole said that MJF became one of his best friends. MJF promised Cole a rematch for the AEW World title no matter what happens tonight on Collision, win, lose, or draw. Roderick Strong then came in. This is where shit started to get good. Roderick Strong came in and pushed MJF. MJF then called Roderick Strong a default caw, as if he was from a wrestling video game. So Cole then told MJF, look, just give us a minute. Cole then told Strong that he's acting crazy and to calm down. Strong then grabbed Cole's arm and Cole said, hey, boundaries. It's such a simple yet so effective storyline. Roderick Strong is the guy that's trying to save Adam Cole. And you know what? This shit should extend further and further into the fall and the winter. This is the shit that is going to carry AEW into next year, and it will be a long-term storyline that will result in Adam Cole inevitably taking the championship from MJF. It's gotta result in it. But this is great. It's so simple. It's so effective. And Adam Cole and MJF, if they were to win the titles tonight, which they should, that is just going to add another layer on top of this storyline. Roderick Strong is always going to be there for Adam Cole. Roderick Strong is always going to be Adam Cole's brother. But Adam Cole is going to end up pushing Roderick Strong away because this tag team with MJF is consuming Adam Cole's mind. It's poisoning his mind. And that's what's going to result in such a great epiphany for Adam Cole. And when MJF inevitably turns on Adam Cole, it's going to make Adam Cole into an even bigger babyface. It is going to be fucking amazing. Trust me on that. The best storyline in AEW right now. Swerve Strickland. He took on Darby Allin in what was a great match. I could watch these two fight all night long. So Darby and Swerve came in with some stiff moves. We had a code red on the floor. Swerve then was sent right into the steps. Swerve then came back and leaped off the steps and hit a house call on Darby. Coming back from commercial, we had a leaping flatliner and a brainbuster for a two. A nice back and forth pin combo. Back and forth we go with Darby and Swerve. Darby with a tope suicida. Swerve with a big knee to Darby. Swerve stomp, but Darby kicked out. Darby then with an avalanche stunner on Swerve. Swerve recovered with an avalanche Death Valley driver on the apron. All of a sudden, a hooded figure attacked Darby behind the referee's back. Swerve hit the JML driver, and Swerve got the win, and I actually don't mind this. I actually am liking this little detour feud with Darby and Swerve before Darby inevitably gets to Luchasaurus at All Out. I think it's a very nice little interim story to play out, and plus, if we're going to get matches like this, I really can't complain. It was then revealed that AR Fox cost Darby the match. Fox then attacked Nick Wayne, and Fox was revealed as the newest member of the Mogul Embassy. I like it, because now AR Fox has a purpose. AR Fox, he was a great performer, but he just felt directionless. Now he has a sense of direction. So the fact that they have history in Lucha Underground, this is going to result in a great partnership that could help AR Fox a bit. Mogul Embassy right now, I'm liking what they're doing with the Mogul Embassy. It's going to be a great thing. It's going to be a great thing for sure. Jericho Appreciation Society. Jericho Appreciation Society. They had a scenario backstage where we had Daddy Magic Matt Menard, Cool Hand Angelo Parker. We had Anna Jay and Ty Mello. They had a talk with Jericho, and Anna Jay called Chris Jericho selfish and said that until you start appreciating us, just like Jake Hager, we can't give you 100%. So Menard said to Jericho, it may not seem easy for you, but, it does seem easy. You may say it's not easy, but it sure as hell looks easy for you. Figure it out fast. So I don't mind this whatsoever. I actually like what they're doing because it's almost like Jericho. He's conflicted. He doesn't know whether to side with Don Callis or whether to stay with the Jericho Appreciation Society. It's such a simple story. Again, simplistic storylines, easy to follow. I like it. This is the approach that AEW took. It wasn't anything over the top or crazy. It wasn't anything over the top or crazy, but a storyline-driven show is not bad. Was it a little lackluster? For AEW standards, you're damn right it was, and especially after what happened in the next match, but I'm not going to sit here and say it was a terrible show. It could have been better. There's always room for improvement, always room for criticism for sure. But this next match, it really did not hit. It really did not hit. Easily the most forgettable thing on the show. Easily the worst thing on the show. Britt Baker and Taya Valkyrie. I don't know what happened, but Taya has seen better days. Britt Baker has seen better days. Was not a good match whatsoever. Was it a completely horrible match? Was it the worst match of the year? No. Matter of fact, I prefer this match over whatever the hell Wesley and Dominic Mysterio did on NXT. But in the end, it was not up to par with what we know these women can do. Taya Valkyrie is a very good pro wrestler. She had a couple of very solid matches with Jade Cargill. But she did not have a good match with Britt Baker. Some people do not dance well together. There was a very sloppy-looking faceplant. Taya then, with some mounted punches, coming back from commercial, both women traded blows. We had a roundhouse kick by Taya, super kick by Baker, punt kick by Taya for a 2, Northern Light suplex by Taya, Britt Baker with the Pittsburgh Sunrise, that got a 2, spear by Taya. Britt Baker fought out of the road to Valhalla, and she locked in the lockjaw for the win. Britt did not look on top of her game whatsoever. She looked very, very gassed. And my friend Stevie pointed that out. Easily the most forgettable thing on the show, and a match that could have turned out great, but these two women just did not dance together. Downgrade for the show. Now, what got people talking was the fact that we had a sign that popped up in the crowd that says, "Book the women's division better." Now, all of this started to come out, and it just sparked up this entire shit show on social media where Taya Valkyrie got wrongfully bullied and was called an untalented piece of shit and all this other garbage, which was not necessary whatsoever, completely uncalled for by the majority of the wrestling community. People take things way too far. And yes, Jeremy, I was just getting ready to talk about that. Apparently, there is some politicking and gatekeeping going on backstage, according to Lufisto, who's an independent professional wrestler. I don't really know too much about her whatsoever. I don't think I've seen her perform once. But apparently she's claiming that there's a lot of backstage politicking. It's not the fact that the division is booked poorly. It's the fact that people are politicking. Now, with what happened with Britt Baker, I really wasn't going to talk about this, but I may as well talk about this shit. Britt Baker then insulted the appearance of a fan on Twitter who was criticizing her and the work that she put in, which was not good. And listen, whether people want to admit it or not, I know for a fact that it's become very, very prominent in this day and age. And this doesn't just have to do with women's wrestling. This doesn't just have to do with pro wrestling in general. People in 2023 cannot handle criticism. If people truthfully didn't care, then they wouldn't give these people the time. These people in 2023, they absolutely despise the fact when they are called out for something that they do wrong. Me, I don't care what people think of me. I do not pay any attention to anyone except for the people that I know, except for the people that I care about. But I'm telling you, people, like these major figures, these major celebrities, they think they are null and void to all type of criticism. And they get so bothered. They get so bothered by the opinions of other people as if, oh, you cannot call out when something is bad. As if, oh, baseball fans can't call out when a pitcher pitches horribly, or football fans can't call out when a team makes a terrible play or conducts a terrible game strategy, or the goalie for a hockey game is not on top of his game. Britt Baker essentially made herself look like a hypocrite. Britt Baker essentially made herself look like a hypocrite with that comment because people were coming to Taya's defense, and Britt Baker essentially went after some random fan and called her hideous because the fan was actually offering some pretty decent criticism, some rightful criticism at that. I'm not going to sit here and continuously shit on the match over and over and over again. It was an off match. Was it the worst match of all time? No, but it was an off match. And it was a hell of a lot less than what I know Britt Baker and Taya Valkyrie are capable of. Now, granted, I don't want to completely harp on this shit as much as I would like to with Britt Baker, because at the end of the day, when Britt Baker started hearing the criticism that, oh, she's AEW's version of Charlotte Flair, Britt Baker took a step back. She gave the spotlight to Toni Storm. She gave the spotlight to Jamie Hayter. She gave the spotlight to women like Hikaru Shida, and she was having banger matches with Jamie Hayter. And then you had Riho get some time, and Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue. They have been having some damn good matches this year. Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue are the top two newest stars that are being built up in this women's division as we speak. And both of them are having great years. But at the end of the day, how much of what people were talking about back in the day about Britt Baker being the AEW version of Charlotte Flair, how much of that is now coming to light even more with the comments from Lufisto and the fact that Britt Baker came off in that conversation with that fan like a complete bitch? How much of the shit that they tried to sell us on the reality television show and paint Thunder Rosa in a bad light, how much of that shit is now being looked at as, oh shit, all of that was fabricated to hide what the real issue is? Backstage politicking and gatekeeping, it exists. It really does exist. Now, granted, part of it is a managerial thing when it comes to the women's division. Part of it is a managerial thing. Women's wrestling, no matter how people want to look at it, I'm telling you right now, women's wrestling is not a draw. It's not. Now listen, we've had some great matches in women's wrestling this year, especially in AEW. We've had some great matches. Sky Blue and Toni Storm, they had a damn good fucking match. Willow Nightingale and Athena, they just main evented the Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view in an excellent fucking match. Jamie Hayter and Riho, Jamie Hayter, Ruby Soho, and Saraya, a great triple threat match. We have had some, Taya Valkyrie and Jade Cargill had a series of decent matches too. Chris Statlander had a decent match with Taya Valkyrie. Chris Statlander's been defending the TBS Championship consistently. She's been putting on some decent matches with Lady Frost and Nyla Rose. So it's not like we've been getting shit all year. It's not like we've been getting shit all year, but in the end, women's wrestling, it's not a draw. No matter what kind of analytics you want to pull out of your ass, no matter what kind of statistics that Meltzer wants to talk about, or fucking Brandon Thurston from WrestleNomics, women's wrestling is not a draw. It's not. And a very, very small, minuscule portion of the audience legitimately cares for it. Now, I care for it. I care for it because I like to see individuals go out there and showcase to me why they are the best in the industry, whether they're male or female. So I don't mind it. I like to see new women come up through the rankings, and I like to see women impress me. I like to sit down and watch a women's match like what we saw at Death Before Dishonor between Athena and Willow Nightingale. I like that shit. I do. But at the end of the day, I am part of a very, very minuscule audience that actually wants better for the division. But the difference between me and everyone else is that I am smart enough to admit that it's not a draw. And the reason why it's not a draw, it doesn't even have anything to do with AEW or Tony Khan. It has to do with what happened over 4 years ago when Ronda Rousey had her first run with the WWE. When Ronda Rousey had her first run with the WWE, Ronda Rousey helped rejuvenate women's wrestling. Ronda Rousey made women's wrestling a mainstream staple. She was putting on matches with Nia Jax that ended up being better than the matches with Seth Rollins and Jon Moxley, then Dean Ambrose at the time. It's a very niche audience. Women's wrestling had the opportunity to be a mainstream staple in the world of pro wrestling, with Ronda Rousey doing what she did in 2018 and 2019. And in came Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair rose to prominence, Sasha Banks as well, and Bayley and Asuka. And what did they do? What did they do after Ronda Rousey dropped the championship to Becky Lynch? What did they do after Becky Lynch won both the Raw and the SmackDown Women's title at WrestleMania 35? Her first feud was against Lacey Evans, which lasted until July. That is what killed women's wrestling. WWE had women's wrestling on the brink of being a mainstream staple. All they needed to do was build on what Ronda Rousey gave to them, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. Why? Because they don't give a shit. All they saw when they looked at Ronda Rousey was dollar signs. They had no passion for it. And even then, the only real revolution that we had was when Triple H was booking the women's division great down in NXT. I don't want to say that Tony Khan doesn't care about women's wrestling, because he's given a lot of opportunity to a lot of women, and he's using a lot more women than WWE is using. With WWE, it's Charlotte Bianca Asuka every week, and with Raw, it's Becky, Trish, Rhea, and Liv Morgan every week. It's the same fucking people round and round and round on Raw and SmackDown. At least Tony Khan is using more than 5 women on television. At least he is trying to get everyone television time. At least he is trying to make sure that everyone gets a little piece of the pie. But at the end of the day, he knows that women's wrestling is not a draw. Tony Khan knows that no matter if he was to put effort into that women's division, he is not going to rejuvenate women's wrestling. And why? Because Ronda Rousey leaving. Now listen, she could have left and they could have booked the women's division great, no problem. But they didn't care. All they saw was an opportunity to make a quick buck, so they shoved this women's revolution and women's division agenda down everyone's throats to make money. And as soon as Ronda left, they went right back to doing the same thing that they did before Ronda Rousey even had a thought of stepping foot in the WWE. Triple H was the only man in WWE that gave a shit about women's wrestling with how good he built the NXT Black and Gold women's division. But as soon as Lacey Evans came out the next night after WrestleMania, as soon as Lacey Evans came out as Becky Lynch's first feud following her beating Ronda Rousey, the fans and the entire wrestling industry, they went to themselves, oh, well, if WWE's not going to care, why should we care? Everything trickled down to the fans, and WWE created this vibe in which women's wrestling is nothing more than an add-on. Women's wrestling had the opportunity to be a mainstream draw, and WWE dropped the ball on it. And Tony Khan, he knows that. Tony Khan, he knows that. But at least Tony Khan is trying to get everyone a little bit of a piece of the pie. WWE, I mean, holy shit. They're hanging their hat on 2 matches. They're hanging their hat on 2 matches this year alone. Rhea and Charlotte, and Bianca and Io. Outside of that, I can't name you one decent thing that the women's division in WWE has produced this year. At least with AEW, we're getting quality matches every other week. But there is backstage politicking. There is gatekeeping. And if you don't think that Charlotte is a part of that, if you don't think that Becky's a part of that, if you don't think that Britt Baker is a part of that, or Saraya isn't a part of that, or Tony Storm is a part of that, if you don't think that they are a part of that, and they have a stranglehold, a grip on the women's divisions in their respective companies, you got another thing coming. You do. You have another thing coming, and you clearly do not know what you are talking about. Backstage politicking is real. Gatekeeping is real. And you know what? The more that Lufisto brings this up, and I hope she continues to bring this shit up, the more that Lufisto brings this up, the more prominent it looks. It's not a good look on either company. The women's division needs to be booked better for both companies. I understand. It's just not a draw, though. The one thing that just gets under my skin, minus the backstage politicking and the gatekeeping, the one thing that gets under my skin was people were so quick in AEW to harp on this one-off match with Britt Baker and Taya Valkyrie, neglecting everything that Tony Khan has done and neglecting all the great matches that we've gotten under Tony Khan's watch for the women's division. Yet, I don't hear one fucking peep from any of these fucking morons on a weekly basis when we see Monday Night Raw and SmackDown pretty much shitting all over women's wrestling right in front of your face. At least Tony Khan tries. At least he tries at certain points. But in the end, he knows that it's not a draw, so he's not going to put all of his effort into it. Or maybe he does want to put his effort into it, but he doesn't have the free time to. Maybe he does need to start delegating and regulating some responsibilities to other people. Someone books Rampage, someone books Ring of Honor, someone books the women's division, someone books the tag team division. It happens everywhere. It's a sad state. It's a sad state. But at the end of the day, I don't see anything changing. I don't see anything changing in either company. At this rate, all we have to hang our hat on is, hey, if we get a good women's match, we get a good women's match. I don't know what it's going to take, but it could very well take Vince McMahon ultimately passing away. We're going to have to just wait for that day until he inevitably does cross over to the other side. And then when Triple H fully takes over, then we will start seeing women's wrestling become more apparent and become a focal point on the show. But I'm telling you, that night after WrestleMania 35, where Lacey Evans was Becky's first feud following her beating Ronda Rousey, that was the moment in time where women's wrestling died, and it hasn't been the same since. In the main event, we had Best Friends versus Lucha Bros versus Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. A very fun match, to say the least. A very fun match, and it resulted in the Lucha Bros getting the win when they pinned Trent Beretta. And the reason why Blackpool Combat Club didn't win, because Orange Cassidy came out and attacked Jon Moxley. And we get a big brawl afterwards. So it looks like we could very well be getting a three-way dance between these three factions at some point. Maybe a triple threat trios match. We'll have to wait and see how it comes out. But the Lucha Bros get the win here. I don't mind it whatsoever. But if we're looking down the barrel of just the Blackpool Combat Club versus Death Triangle, I wouldn't mind that. I think that would be a great trios match. And then maybe at All Out, we could very well see Moxley versus Orange Cassidy for the International Championship. Moxley could end up winning the title. Who knows? A very lackluster Dynamite. Not horrible, but very lackluster compared to what we know they can do. Although, I will say this, I take this show over whatever the fuck SmackDown was. Oh my lord, SmackDown was terrible. Again, I ask, SmackDown, I'm watching it and I'm thinking to myself, why the fuck am I even covering this shit? And then I remember it's for you guys, because you guys love when SmackDown and Raw and all these other shitty WWE shows piss me off. Jey Uso, he kicked off the show. And he was going to call out Roman Reigns. He did so. Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman, they came out. Roman Reigns told everyone to acknowledge him. Roman Reigns then said, "You like the Usos because of me." The tribal chief always opens up the show. "Why do you think they called you the right-hand man? Because I made you that." Roman pretty much took credit for Jay's success. Jay then said, "I didn't want any of this. I didn't want to be the tribal chief. I watched your back, supported you, and believed in you because that's what family do. You could lead this company and the family, but you broke this family, and now I got to do what I have to do. You broke the bloodline. You broke Jimmy, and it's all your fault." Roman then called Jay selfish, and he said he became the right-hand man because Jimmy was hurt. If it wasn't for him getting hurt, you wouldn't have had a chance. Your younger brother loves and respects me more than you, talking about Solo. He goes, "You are done after SummerSlam. You won't be a part of history anymore. But let's say you actually beat me. That means that you take everything from me, but I'm always going to be Roman Reigns. What are you going to do? You got nothing, and you can't beat me, Jay. Tell me, what makes you think that you can beat me?" Jay then said, "Because I already beat you. I pinned you. I'm the only one to do it." And at SummerSlam, he then held Roman by his neck, looked at him, and said, "I'm going to beat you again." Listen, this was a fine segment. As per usual. The Bloodline clearly is the best thing about WWE television. But I'm just at a point where I don't give a fuck anymore. And I just have a sour taste in my mouth because Roman Reigns with the World Championship during this whole entire feud, it's just unnecessary. It's completely fucking unnecessary. And normally I wouldn't say this. And listen, I know it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. And I know for a fact this is not the way that they're going to go. I know Roman Reigns is not losing. But I am at a point right now where I don't even give a fuck who he loses the title to. I'm at a point right now where I am saying to myself, just give him the fucking title. Just give Jay the fucking title already. At this point, I just want the title off of Roman. I do. And it's not even because Roman is terrible. It's not. Roman Reigns is great. Roman Reigns has been made into a fucking legend because of this tribal chief run. But after WrestleMania, he doesn't defend the title for 4 months? Didn't we get enough of this shit with Brock Lesnar back in the day? Not only that, Roman Reigns has wrestled twice since WrestleMania, and neither times he defended the World Championship. The title has essentially become a fucking prop on Roman Reigns. I am at a point in time where I don't even give a fuck who he loses the title to. I just want him to lose the fucking title. At this point, just give Jay the fucking title. Not like it means anything. Jay already pinned Roman. No matter who beats Roman, it's not going to mean as much as it would have been if Jay didn't pin Roman. Just have Jay win, have Priest cash in, win the Undisputed title, and then Priest can be the face of SmackDown. Roman just needs to lose the title because WWE creatively ruined his title reign following WrestleMania. It's sad. It's sad to say, but it's the truth. It's the truth. Roman Reigns does not feel the same. Roman Reigns does not have the same vibe to him. Roman Reigns is just a champion who's held the title for over 1,000 days now. What does it mean now? Okay, it's 1,000 days, but he hasn't defended the title in 4 fucking months. There's a big difference between going 40, 50 days and going 4 fucking months. 120 days. 120 plus days without defending the championship. I am sorry. No matter who the fuck you are, that is inexcusable. Just give Jay the fucking title. And I know it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. But that's what I would do. Just get the title off him. Everything that Roman has done since WrestleMania. Everything that Roman has done since WrestleMania, he has not needed the title for. And if you think he does, you are a fucking idiot. Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar, finals of the United States title invitational tournament. They worked an injury. They worked an injury with Rey Mysterio taking a bump to the outside on the missile suicide dive by Santos Escobar. They didn't even give Santos Escobar a clean win over Mysterio. And the ref called the match because Mysterio couldn't compete because he got the wind knocked out of him. Who cares? Who cares? Again, like I said earlier on, I wouldn't be shocked if they give the title to Santos Escobar as a fuck you to LA Knight. Speaking of LA Knight was probably the best thing on the show. Hit Row came out, and LA Knight interrupted Hit Row. He said, I didn't know Uncle Phil became a rapper, trashing Top Dollar. He said, who hotter than Top Dollar? A lotta. So he then called on New Orleans to say, hey, take a look at B-Fab. Listen, B-Fab called New Orleans corny, but by the way, B-Fab is looking at me. It looks like she's horny. Yeah. I laughed at that. LA Knight's fucking great. He goes, business before pleasure. I'm going to have to take care of you both, and you will get your ass beat by the man, with everybody saying LA Knight, yeah. So LA Knight, a 2-minute match on the show. That's all LA Knight is worth to the WWE. 2 minutes. He beats Ashante the Adonis. What did this do? Why isn't Knight fighting for the United States Championship? Why? Why is LA Knight being relegated to a fucking SummerSlam Battle Royale? Meanwhile, he should be fighting for the United States Championship in Detroit, Michigan against Austin Theory, and he should be beating Austin Theory. Unless this reported plan of, oh, they're waiting till after SummerSlam, unless it is true. Unless we could very well see LA Knight versus Austin Theory going into the fall. And we could see LA Knight beat Austin Theory at some point in the fall. Now, if that's the case, I guess okay. But, I mean, you couldn't have done it at SummerSlam? You couldn't have done it at SummerSlam? You know LA Knight has been one of the most over acts on WWE TV, and he has only been on 2 pay-per-views this year. It's 3 if you count SummerSlam. Why? Why is it that LA Knight has merely been on 2 to 3 pay-per-views this year, yet he's the most over act on television? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. They will do anything to destroy this man's momentum. Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair versus Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. A huge example of WWE mistreating women's wrestling. But go ahead, continue to harp on AEW for it. It's WWE's fault too. The women's tag team champions get beat by 2 women who will be competing against each other at SummerSlam in this bullshit can they coexist storyline. I'm still wondering why the women's tag team titles are even a fucking thing. Swear to God, man. Carl Anderson, he took on Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross, he beat Carl Anderson within 2 minutes, and I could not give a single fuck about this feud with AJ Styles. Imagine that. Imagine that. AJ Styles is on this show, back from injury, and you don't even have the balls to put him up against Roman Reigns and give us a story between those two that we have been waiting for God knows how long. But sure, let's have the bloodline continue to feud with Roman when Roman didn't even need the fucking title to begin with. Karrion Kross won with a side slam F5, which he is calling the final prayer, which I actually like. That was probably the best thing about this whole shit. Karrion Kross and AJ Styles is coming again. I don't care. I really don't give a fuck. Is Karrion Kross going to win? Probably not. And then in the main event, Grayson Waller, who's been on the main roster since May. He's been losing every single fucking match that he's been in under the sun, and he was made to look like a complete fucking joke. He was made to look like a fucking jobber against Jey Uso merely to further the bloodline storyline. So not only did they ruin Roman's title reign, now they're using other people on this show and sacrificing them to enhance the bloodline storyline. But yet, somehow, someway, WWE is putting on great television. The sales, and the stocks, and the ratings, and the merchandise sales, and the traction, and the ratings, and stock, and the traction. Fuck your business aspects. Fuck business. And I will say that every single time for the rest of my time doing this. When it comes to what we do, if you are not talking about the quality of the television show and you are using business to justify objectively shit television, you have zero right to utter anything regarding professional wrestling. And I damn you. I damn you all. Jey Uso beat Grayson Waller with a spear and a splash. And then afterwards, he got a major beatdown by Roman and Solo, which resulted in him taking 2 spike and spear combinations. Don't care. Show is terrible. Ironically, Rampage was probably the best show of the week. Minus Collision tonight. Rampage was probably the best show of the fucking week. Shocking, I know. And Rampage wasn't even that good. Wasn't terrible, but Rampage wasn't even that good. We had a tag team battle royale, a very standard and a very lame tag team battle royale at that, but we got a rather shocking outcome. Everyone thought that the Hardys were going to take the win, and they were planning on doing the Hardys versus either Max or Cole or FTR, probably in Wembley Stadium. And that was not the case. Instead, they gave it to Big Bill and Brian Cage, who was a team that formed in the Blind Eliminator tournament. They decided to keep these two together, and I have absolutely zero issue with that. I have absolutely zero issue with that whatsoever. Rather surprised, but I don't mind this outcome whatsoever, because these two together, they were a combination that I never thought I actually needed. They look great together. And if this is going to be a prominent role for Big Bill, I got no issue with that either, because Big Bill's got a lot of upside to him, as does Brian Cage. So they get the win here. They had a decent back and forth with the Butcher and the Blade to end this match, and Big Bill and Brian Cage are the new number one contenders for whoever wins tonight. I got no issue with that, and I'm looking forward to it. So good on them. We'll have to see what happens, but it could very well be Big Bill and Brian Cage versus MJF and Adam Cole. We could see a rematch from the Blind Eliminator tournament. We had Commander versus Kip Sabian. Commander and Kip Sabian, and I'm not lying to you, this match, it went about 11 minutes, and it was better than anything that we saw on SmackDown. This match went 11 minutes, and it was better than anything we saw on SmackDown. Kip Sabian, let me tell you something. Kip Sabian is a very, very, very underrated professional wrestler. I don't think Kip Sabian gets the proper appreciation that he deserves. As is Commander. So, Commander came in with a Tope Con Hero on Sabian. Coming back from commercial, Commander with a head scissor, takedown, and a heel kick for a 2. We had a big forearm by Commander. We had a rope stun gun and a shooting star press, but it missed. Roll through did Commander. Punt kick by Sabian and an Arabian press moonsault to the floor. Sabian with the reverse cannonball in the corner and a running shooting star press for a 2. Ford then raked the eyes of Commander. Sabian with a swinging neck breaker off the ropes. We thought that was it, but Commander kicked out. Commander then with a springboard Canadian Destroyer and a running rope walk shooting star press for the win. And Commander gets the win over Kip Sabian 1-2-3 in a very good match for what it was. Better than anything that we saw on Raw or SmackDown. Sabian, he is incredibly underrated. And you know something? I would like to see more of Kip Sabian. And if you're not going to put him on AEW television, put him in Ring of Honor. Have him do some damage in Ring of Honor. He could do some decent shit in Ring of Honor. A lot of people that you can put him up against. And once we get some new champions, once Claudio loses his title to Eddie Kingston, and once Mark Briscoe comes back and beats Samoa Joe, it's going to be a very different landscape, and you're going to have a lot more opportunities opening up. The Kingdom took on 2 jobbers. I did not know who the fuck they were, but I'm enjoying the Kingdom. I like me the Kingdom. If you've been watching Ring of Honor television, the Kingdom, they are incredibly entertaining, especially Matt Taven. I am a Matt Taven guy. So they won with the Proton Pack, and that was it. Not really sure what's going to happen with the Kingdom afterwards, but I would not mind seeing the Kingdom more on AEW television because they are a very good tag team. Main event. Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida. These two usually have decent matches, and this was no different. Decent little match in the main event here. And Shida is, I believe she is on a 4-match winning streak, if I am not mistaken, which is why she's getting a women's title match next week at AEW Dynamite 200. So Nyla attacked Shida immediately. Shida came back with a high knee, a missile dropkick, but Shida missed. Nyla then slung Shida into the barricade head first, and Shida hit hard. Shida then came back with some stiff kicks. Nyla had Shida on the apron, and Shida fought out with a missile dropkick off the apron. Nyla with a choke slam off the ropes. That got a 2. Shida then with a forearm and a Falcon Arrow for a 2. Nyla countered the Katana with a lariat. and then she went up. Shida followed and hit an avalanche Falcon Arrow, but Shafir put Nyla Rose's foot on the rope. Shida then hit Shafir with the kendo stick and then delivered the katana on Shida. She won the match, and now Shida will fight Toni Storm at AEW Dynamite 200, and Toni Storm is going to put on a banger with Hikaru Shida. I am very much looking forward to that, and I'm very happy that Shida is getting some TV exposure because Shida is amazing, and Shida will indeed have to take a loss against Toni Storm. Now, reportedly, Jamie Hayter is not ready to come back yet, so I don't know who the fuck Toni Storm is going to fight at All In. Could very well be Britt Baker for all the fuck we know. But either way, Rampage was probably the best show out of all four of these shows. And a lot of it had to do with the main event and the match with Commander and Kip Sabian. We will see what is to come, but Dynamite 200 actually looks pretty decent. We got Commander and Vikingo taking on Aussie Open for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. That's going to be good. We also got an Anything Goes match between Trent Beretta, Jon Moxley, and Penta El Cero Miedo. We got Toni Storm and Hikaru Shida, and then Chris Jericho and Takeshita versus Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara, which should be a very nice little bookmark in this story between Don Callis, Chris Jericho, and the JAS. And we are looking down the barrel of a damn good episode of Collision tonight. So I will be tweeting, I will be watching, should be decent. A little bit of a down week this week for AEW, but in the end, Tony Khan is putting forth probably his best summer period yet with everything that he has done. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of the Lightning Flash Update. You guys have been fucking amazing. Thank you all for tuning in. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all those links in the description. I got Billy Wolf coming to you guys next Thursday on the rundown for SummerSlam 2023. And we're going to talk about everything that's going down in Detroit. It's going to be damn good, baby. It is going to be damn good. And on top of that, next Tuesday is the rewind for NXT Great American Bash, which I will be doing at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to talk about everything that is going down tomorrow in Texas. And then next Sunday, August 6th, my main man, Earl Cole Bay is coming back on the channel, and he is going to be joining me for the rewind for SummerSlam. We're going to dissect everything that's going down next Saturday. And of course, thank you all. Thank you to Sarah Hapka. Thank you to Jeremy Lewis, James Ponseca, HooliGrim, Lisa, and Dee Dee. You guys have been awesome. Once again, Saturdays are my day. Saturday afternoons are right for streaming. Saturday nights are right for fighting. I am making shockwaves throughout the wrestling industry, and things are only going to get better. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, I'm DJ Storms. This has been the Lightning Flash Update. But before we get out of here, people, tell me who runs the IWC. I want to hear you say it. I'll tell ya who runs the IWC. Who? But DJ motherfucking Storms. And don't you forget it.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.